Hey guys, welcome to this episode of The Rachel Cruze Show. And today I am joined by my friend, co-host of The Ramsey Show, and host of his own show, Dr. John Delony. Welcome, Delony.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Okay, so I'm having you on today because I want to talk about a subject that kind of floats around in a joking manner, but also a pretty serious manner. So around addiction, shopping addiction specifically. So again, this is something that I feel like gets floated around in conversations. People kind of joke like, oh my gosh, I'm a shopaholic. But what we find is that this is a legitimate addiction and can truly wreck people's lives. But we talk about people being natural savers or spenders, and I'm a natural spender. So I do tend to lean on the side of like kind of compulsion and like, oh yeah, there's a good sale, I'm going to shop, or I'll get on Amazon and buy something new. So talk us through, I mean, you can start with like high level addiction and then go down to shopping specifically. But like, what are the red flags versus being just like, oh yeah, I'm just a natural spender?
So let's use the word you just used and kind of pull it apart. When you're shopping, do you just get boxes that show up at your house and you're like, I didn't remember buying this? Or do you feel like you see your clothes in your closet and you're like, I need to get another shirt, and it just kind of builds and builds and builds until you go get another shirt?
One or the other or both?
Either one.
Probably
Both.
maybe the last, not the boxes, but yeah, I'll look and be like, I just feel like I don't really have anything to wear. Yeah. And then a sale comes on, I'm like, oh sure, I'll buy a shirt.
The difference between impulsive and compulsive, right?
Yes.
Impulsive is this thing you do without thinking. You grab your phone, and that's the person who just boxes show up. Like, I don't remember buying that. I just bought it and I wasn't even thinking about it. I'm watching my kid and I'm just buying stuff on the phone while I'm watching them at gymnastics or whatever. That's impulsive behavior. Compulsive, it's an anti-anxiety response that your body does. It begins to feel an urge. That's how I experience it. I see a guitar and I really want that guitar. A guitar doesn't magically show up. It's just this quiet little voice in the back that's going, are you going to get it? Are you going to get it? You're always going to stay a loser? You're never going to have that cool guitar?
Yeah.
How much money do you make? Really? You're not. And it just goes until I get it. And I go, and it lasts for about a few minutes. And then I put the guitar down and then I still got to go do the dishes and stuff, right?
Yes.
So that's impulsive and compulsive. I think we get a little too in the weeds when we talk about, is it impulsive, compulsive, is it addiction or not?
Right.
I want us to back up and say this. Anytime you are buying something without thinking about it, you're doing anything mindlessly or you're doing something to cover up for a relational issue, right? So I get home and I'm a little bit tense and I go sit down on the computer and start clicking. Or my wife and I have a fight and she goes in that room, I go in this room and I'm scrolling and all of a sudden I'm looking at Amazon Prime, right?
Yep.
Addiction is a proxy for a relationship. It's a thing you do to quiet your body because your body finds itself alone.
Yes.
Right? Anything that distracts you from your present moment, from the present realities of your relationships, that's addiction. Phone, drinking, pornography, calendar, being busy. All those things fall into the same category.
Because yeah, when you think about, that's why I want to talk to you about shopping specifically, because again, broad level, when you hear addiction, you kind of go to these like big buckets, right? That you hear a lot, whether it's drugs, alcohol, porn, like, but with shopping, for some reason, there's always like this joking bent to it. Like people throw, like rarely do you throw around like, oh, I'm an alcoholic. But people throw around, oh, I'm a shopaholic. And they use it as a justification, right? And I know it's kind of a joke. Like I know they're saying it jokingly, but in my line of work, I'm like, no, but like for real, that is something that is so real in our culture that we don't address because there are addictions to our phone. Like when you're talking about that, it's almost like you're in this other phase. And I'll look and I'm like, I'm on Instagram. How did I even get on Instagram?
Right.
I don't even remember unlocking my phone. I don't remember typing in my like I don't remember. And I'm like, you show up here and you're like, what am I doing?
Right. I think that dismissive, like, I'm just a shopaholic, it's very similar to kind of the day drinking trend. Like it's wine Wednesdays or it's wine o'clock and it's 11 a.m. or whatever the little bibs say, whatever. It's this way of, if we just kind of laugh about it and make it a joke, we can kind of arm sweep the shame off the table.
Yes.
We all know this isn't good.
Yes.
Right? We all know we went into Target to grab 2 things and our basket is full. Right? What's that? There's a great Instagram meme. It's like, I bought a roll of toilet paper and a tube of toothpaste and my total was $742.
Yeah, that's right.
At Target. That's not healthy behavior.
Yeah.
And almost all the time, it's covering up for something else. Either the absent-mindedness of it all or the intentional, I'm going to go and buy this and this and this. That's covering up for something else.
So one of the things I always hate thinking about What if something happens to me? What if something happens to my husband, Winston? What's going to happen to the family? There is a great solution, you guys, that really takes that part of worrying and stress and the not good feeling, kind of puts it at ease. And that is term life insurance. And Winston and I personally use Xander Insurance. And they're the best. They make the whole process, you guys, so easy. You give them your information and they go and they shop the top-rated companies for the best policy for you and your family's needs. So no one should go without term life insurance. So go check out Xander Insurance. Just go to xander.com to make sure that your family's future is taken care of. Okay, so someone that is thinking, oh my gosh, I really could be someone that could be categorized as a true shopaholic, or I spend for an addiction because I am so addicted to the feeling that it's giving me of numbing out or whatever it may be. And I know this is a big conversation because I know there's a lot there, but what are a couple of ways that you could say, okay, here are ways to kind of just pinpoint and say, yes, this could be an issue. And like, is there anything to do about it today?
Yeah. One, I want to always back away from any sort of self-labeling. And I know that sounds so woo-woo and cheesy. I get it. I don't want anyone self-diagnosing with I'm a shopaholic, right?
Yes.
Or I have a spending disorder, which isn't really a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I want people to say, man, when I get really stressed, I just start buying stuff. Or I get to the end of the month and I have blown through my budget so fast. So if we want to solve this, people always ask, how do I know if I'm addicted to my phone? I say, put your phone in a drawer for 4 hours. And if you can't breathe, you've probably got a problem, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, how do I know if I have a problem with alcohol? Quit drinking for 30 days and see what happens, right? So stop buying. Change your password to Amazon or cancel Amazon Prime or give your spouse the password. Take your debit card out and give it away. And if you get to the end of the day and you're like, oh, I need to run to the grocery store and get some milk and whatever bread, that's fine. But if you start finding yourself itching or clawing or frustrated or snapping at people that you love or overly aggressive with your kids or your spouse, that may be, hey, my body tries to take care of itself through shopping. That's what we got to track down.
Okay. And so much of this, because so much of what we talk about, money specifically, is so much of a symptom of other things going on. So in your line of work, like what are a couple of maybe just general reasons that someone may hear you say, oh yeah, people can tend to, again, self-medicate all different ways, but shopping being one of them because of what? Like marriage issues, kids are stressed, season of life. Like what are some common buckets that people find ways to medicate?
I think, again, addiction is a behavior we continue to do despite the fact that we know it's hurting us, right? That can be any number of things.
Sure.
My best interpretation of the science is all addiction springs from, or almost all of addiction springs from some sort of relational trauma or relational dysfunction or some sort of way your body has noticed we are not in a relationship anymore, or there's a bigger gap between the two of us than we think.
Yes.
A lot of times couples can sit down on the same couch and both have 2 double shots of whatever, and they think that they're close and they think their marriage is great, but their bodies are numbing the electricity that's here. Or somebody may be buying something, and he may be scrolling on fantasy sports, right? Stop the fantasy sports, for God's sake. But we're both in 2 different planets, right? We're in 2 different places. Really, addiction, the best way I can distill the literature down is it's relational, an issue.
Yeah, it's so good. Well, I think just being aware, I think is one of the biggest things, is the self-awareness around why and what is going on is huge. So for you guys, again, it could be stress, it could be emotions, there could be so much that goes into this. And also, time of life. So like the pandemic, do you feel like that affected people?
Yeah, so imagine what we saw happen during the pandemic is everyone's locked in a house. And then married couples became co-managers of school and house and work from home and all these different things.
Yep.
And hey, let's be honest, let's call it what it was. Delivery services saved the day.
Yes.
The ability for us to get food and resources to just delivered to our house, that's never happened in human history.
Yep.
I think it saved a big time calamity, right? But we got used to just clicking and clicking and clicking.
Yes.
And with no other dopamine, no other ability to get these other chemicals, man, it was easy just to buy and buy and buy. Then all of a sudden we're released to the wild. Why would I want to go brave the Walmart parking lot when I can just have Walmart deliver it to my house, right? And now we're off into a whole new way of doing life.
Yes. Okay, so why do you think we usually hear more about drug addictions or alcoholism more than shopping?
This one hurts my heart a little bit because it tends to be culturally specific. A group of folks in a particular culture will say, here's the things that we accept and here's what we don't accept.
Mm-hmm.
In our culture, we don't accept, if you use drugs, you go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
But if you work 95 hours a week, we give you $1 million and say, congratulations, here's an award,
true.
right? It's both addiction. Neither of them are healthy for you. And so when someone says, I'm struggling with addiction, what I always want to get to the bottom of is, what has happened in your life? What is happening in your life that makes this your body's only way of dealing with it, right?
Yes.
Regardless of what it is. But drugs, alcohol, those are the big ones, and they have some immediate health consequences. You can hurt other people.
Sure.
But largely it's cultural and context.
So interesting. Then that's what's crazy is like we all have a level of addiction,
Everyone,
right?
yes.
And I've heard someone say, which I like this, they were like, yeah, the word addiction is like a trash can and there's stuff in there that shouldn't be in there and there's stuff that's not in there that should be in there. But I think that that is so important because I think understanding our stories, understanding what has happened to us, right? And regardless of whether you came from a good home or not, we're human and we are raised by imperfect people. We have an imperfect world. We are imperfect. So there's always going to be stuff that you're coping with, but understanding why gets to the bottom of not only money issues, but even bigger things that can start to happen.
Yeah, and I remember when my son Hank was 2, I knew one thing. I didn't know how to do this. And my wife let me know that I was not good at diaper. I had no idea that kids go to the bathroom 400 times a day. I thought they went once, like regular. Anyway, I didn't know any of this stuff. And I was ashamed about it, and then I got embarrassed about it, and my wife and I would bicker. So the one thing I knew I was good at was work. And so I just focused this much. And I knew I could support my family and show my family that I loved them by being good at work. And that was when the relationship went like this, right? That was when there was a little gap there.
Yep.
Or this happens, it's very common that maybe a mom gets really connected to a newborn. And this newborn becomes the center of her world, not the other way around.
Yep.
When a husband comes in and wants to do this or wants to do this, nope, this is my protection from having to deal with this or this or this, right? So all of that is just our body's way of coping with.
Yep, feeling it. So interesting. Okay, so what would you say are some red flags that people can kind of start to maybe be somewhat concerned with, if you will, when it comes to specifically shopping and our habits around spending money?
It's when the outcomes of an action are detrimental to your life. So I need to buy a thing. This just put me into more debt.
Yeah.
I want to relax. Now I'm drunk again, right? I just want to check my Instagram real quick. It's an hour later and I can hear my kids running around upstairs and I'm in my closet just avoiding everybody, right? So it's when the actions, the numbing behavior becomes detrimental to us. That's when you got a problem.
That's good. That's a good flag, though. It's one you can be in denial about for a bit, but then that's when life starts to really clash. And
Here's
you're like,
another thing.
wow.
If you've got friends that will sit down and talk to you.
Yeah?
I've had great friends in my life who've said, hey man, we just noticed you're on trend X, right? Or we're uncomfortable with this. That's always important too.
It's good. Okay, so we do find, you guys, that compulsive shopping shows up in multiple ways. One of the ways is bargain shopping. So this is when the thrill of the deal just becomes overwhelming and you just love it, love it, love it. And you can justify that way. Circular shopping. So this is shopping again for the deal. And then people actually go back and return after they've been shopped and return the item. Collectors, so you kind of get this false sense of security that you are collecting things that may be good for your life in the long run. Maybe it's a good investment, but it's really an excuse. And then there's also the trophy shoppers. So they get their value from what they're wearing, having nice things, all of that. So again, just some things to look out for, you guys, because this can seep into our culture. And just like the work addiction example, which is a great one, there are times that people can kind of just joke it off or whatever, but it does end up negatively affecting your life. So you guys, I don't want that to be you. I want you to be free from this stuff. I want you to be able to say, I really am controlling my money. So those of you guys that are currently not in debt, a shopping addiction may not seem like a big threat. But again, some of these negative effects that we talked about could be there. And again, at Ramsey, we believe that there is hope regardless of your situation, regardless of where you are, financially, mentally, spiritually. You have the ability to change your life. It's just having that hope to believe that you really can, that you can wake up the next day and make a different decision. So, John, thanks so much for being on. This was always so helpful. And all your content that you talk about on your show, the Dr. John Delony show, you guys, make sure to check it out because he reframes a lot of the things that we think in life, and he brings a new perspective and even takes things that are a little taboo, brings into the light. We love that for you, John. Love that. So make sure to check out everything else, anywhere else people can find you besides the show.
At John Delony.
Perfect. Okay, on all the socials. Well, thanks again, John, for being on.
Thank you for having me.
So appreciate it, you guys. Make sure to send this video to a friend who may need it. And if you really do want to take control of your spending, make sure to check out Every Dollar, which is our budgeting app. And as always, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love.